Man, that water is refreshing. And did you ever think that corn and soybean plants might feel the same way, especially when we've gone through some short-term dry conditions where they've used all of the soil around the roots to complete the normal processes that corn and soybeans complete? That's what we're going to talk about today. Keystone Agronomist Betsy Bower here to talk about water use in corn and soybeans. So let's go ahead and get started. Did you know that the upper foot of soil is responsible for providing 40% of the water needs to corn and soybeans to optimize yield? And that makes sense, right? That's where the majority of the roots are, the fine hairs, all of that. That's where we replenish water, is in the upper foot of soil, and deeper reserves too. But that's where the majority of the water comes from. Root fractions 1 to 2 feet is 30% and 2 to 3 feet is 20%. But when do we need the majority of that water? What time period during the corn and soybean plant's life do we need that? Well, it certainly isn't at the beginning. As we germinate and corn and soybean plants grow, they need very little water, maybe a half a tenth to a tenth per acre per day. As we get on in the vegetative stages, 6 to 7 trifoliates on soybeans, V6, V7 on corn, then that water use, because you've got a bigger plant, of course, starts to ramp up to about 2 tenths per acre per day. But it's not until we get towards the reproductive stages that we really see the increase in water use. And in corn, that's from a week before tassel through early blister, even into grain fill, that we need the heaviest amount. And that's about, anywhere 3 tenths to even upwards of 4 tenths, depending on the hybrid, that we need per acre per day. In soybeans, that's in that 2.5 to 3 tenths. Once we get past some grain fill, then we go back to 2 tenths per acre per day. Now, as we think about soil types, think about sandy soils. Sandy soils hold about anywhere from, depending on the soil, a half an inch to 1.25 inches in a foot of soil. So when we think about in a sandy soil needing soil moisture, it's going to take that's a 3-day supply in just 1 foot of soil at 3 tenths per acre per day. Silt loam soils are a little different. They can hold up to 2 inches per acre, or 2 inches per 12 inches. And so that's actually double the water supply and double the water access. Clay soils, or soils that have a lot of clay into them, is much like the sandy soils, because we've got a lot of charged soil particles that actually hold on to water a lot more. So they're somewhat similar to sands. So when we incorporate knowing how much water a plant needs, as well as what our soils can provide, it gives us an understanding, will we need some short-term needs like irrigation to help us supply some of those things. So if you have any questions on soil moisture use or water use in crops, see your local Keystone Crop Specialist.